And the Naira is falling day by day. So it is the right of Nigerians to tell the government through peaceful protests that no, you are going the wrong way. You have to come to the right way.
My name is Suleiman Ahmed Wan. Opinion about the planned protest by NLC, I support it 100%. Because what is happening today, if you look at the current situation of this country called Nigeria today, the inflation is high. People are crying. People are hungry. Insecurity everywhere. Look at the price of goods. It's increasing everywhere. Even the locally produced goods and services in Nigeria is increasing every day.
My name is Baba Ali Kayode. I support the protest, to be sincere, because the protest will solve, at least it will make government ginger. So it will wake government from their slumber.
My name is Umar Musa Kuta. So about this situation we are facing in this Nigeria now, wallahi, the situation is critical. Every day things are getting more worse. This protest is good because, if not because Nigerians are a peaceful country, in other countries like Sudan, because of common bread now they're going on strike. But see Nigeria now, things are getting worse. Every day, all the masses are getting tired. So I'm trying to advise the president, if the thing gets worse and worse, don't provoke the masses. If the masses provoke, things are not going to be good.
My name is Benjamin Andrew, and honestly, since I was born, I've never seen hardship like this. I've never seen situation like this, situation that turns champions to beggars, married men to another things. I mean, underage young women to a prostitute because of hardship, because of their parents could not afford even a single square meal right now in the country. I think protests will be one of the ways whereby they can make known our pain, what we are going through in Nigeria. We keep talking about dollar. What's our problem with dollar? Yes, I know we, the masses, we have our own problem too. Because dollar doesn't have anything to do with Gary. Dollar doesn't have anything to do with Akpu. Of course, but the government should know that in fact, you will vote them there, you suffer to get a voter's card, you suffer to vote them, when they get there, they begin to suffer you. So why don't we protest? Let them know our pain, we are suffering, we are dying. Nigerians, in my own country, I'm dying. I cannot afford to eat. As I'm talking to you, I told my brother Gary is in my bag right now because I could not afford 700 naira food. If I could eat 700 naira food times 3 in a day, how much are we talking about? How much is my salary? I have children, I have wife, I have bills to pay.
We have heard the opinions of Nigerians concerning the protest. Some are against it, while others are fully in support of the protest. I am Namsifon Etem, reporting for Global TV.
The protesters who stormed the National Assembly complex in their separate reactions condemned President Tinubu's pronouncement of abolishing fuel subsidy regime, leading to increase in the price of fuel by more than 200%, combined with the policy of floating the naira the free fall of the naira against the United States dollar, which has resulted in gross devaluation of the nation's currency. They say this has been the root of inflationary pressure in the country, adding that it has led to food crisis as costs of other essentials including transportation, healthcare, drugs and building materials have more than tripled in less than 1 year.
The state of the nation, everybody can feel it. Everybody can feel it and everyone can see it. Look at the situation we find ourselves now. If you go to the market, there's no segregation market for different individuals. You are for the government or you are against the government policy. We are going to the general market. But as it stands now, every one of us can feel it. A bag of rice is costing about 75,000 naira. Cement of bag that cost about 5,500. Just recently, about 3 weeks ago, it's now costing about 10,000 naira. And just yesterday, a carton of Indomie that children take to school is about 17,000 naira. And you can see it for yourself. The hike in price, the state of the nation, everyone is tense, you know. So basically, what NLC just came out to do is just to show to the authority that people are really not, enjoying the situation. They find themselves in the country now, and things is very high, on the high side.
We are protesting, but hunger is too much. School fees, bandering, everything. Nigeria is scattered, Nigeria balance, no balance. And we need solidarity in Nigeria. Look at it.
This protest is a protest that we have achieved a lot as Nigerian Labour Congress. I was there, the first one that we came to National Assembly. They denied us entering, and today there was no any other alternative that allowed us to come in. And we have handed over the letter to the Nigerian Senate, National Assembly, for onward transmission to Mr. President, that there is hunger in the land, and everybody must rise up to the occasion. We want Nigerians to feel at home. The dividend of democracy should be felt at the grassroots, not just in Abuja, but the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT. The presence of the government should be felt. So as NLC, we are calling on the federal government to rise up to the occasion that everything, the cost of living is very high, and Nigerians are dying. They are dying. Look at, workers are dying. Thank you.
A common man can't avoid sugar, they can't avoid rice, they can't avoid whatsoever. But there is hunger in the land. We need them. Whatsoever you buy in the money before evening time, there is no control of rising food. So let them do something.
Even a blind man today, blind man can see. You know, a blind man cannot see, but he can see that the economy of the country is somehow disastrous.
The protesters further call on government to open food silos and enforce equitable distribution across the country to fix the 4 refineries as a matter of urgent national priority and put a stop to the dollarization of the Nigerian economy. They also demand the immediate deployment of affordable mass transportation, particularly buses powered by compressed natural gas, to ease the crisis of transportation for the poor Nigerians, among others.
We just want the government that has human face to ensure that many people are dying of hunger in Nigeria today. So look at how many people died in the buying of half a bag of rice in Lagos. 7 people died for custom office in Yaba there. So they should bring back this subsidy and cause the dollar to come down and let the economy work.
The nationwide NLC protest today is against the alleged government failure to implement the agreement between both parties of the 2nd October 2023 following the removal of fuel subsidy in the country by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The decision followed the conclusion of a 14-day ultimatum for the federal government to implement their demands presented on the October 3, 2023 against the widespread of hardship and hunger in the land. They have presented a 17-point demand to the National Assembly to present to the federal government as part of the demands to cushion the effects and the realities of this country. The reactions by citizens and the protesters are, if government must reverse the subsidy for the current situations to be reduced, then it must be taken into consideration. Edikan Michael reporting for Global TV from the National Assembly. The protesters who stormed the National Assembly complex in their separate reactions condemned President Tinubu's pronouncement of abolishing fuel subsidy regime, leading to increase in the price of fuel by more than 200%, combined with the policy of floating the naira the free fall of the naira against the United States dollar, which has resulted in gross devaluation of the nation's currency. They say this has been the root of inflationary pressure in the country, adding that it has led to food crisis as costs of other essentials including transportation, healthcare, drugs and building materials have more than tripled in less than 1 year.
The state of the nation, everybody can feel it. Everybody can feel it and everyone can see it. Look at the situation we find ourselves now. If you go to the market, there's no segregation market for different individuals. You are for the government or you are against the government policy. We are going to the general market. But as it stands now, every one of us can feel it. A bag of rice is costing about 75,000 naira. Cement of bag that cost about 5,500. Just recently, about 3 weeks ago, it's now costing about 10,000 naira. And just yesterday, a carton of Indomie that children take to school is about 17,000 naira. And you can see it for yourself. The hike in price, the state of the nation, everyone is tense, you know. So basically, what NLC just came out to do is just to show to the authority that people are really not, enjoying the situation. They find themselves in the country now, and things is very high on the high side.
We are protesting about hunger is too much. School fees, bandering, everything. Nigeria is scattered. Nigeria balance, no balance. And we need solidarity in Nigeria. Look at it.
This protest is a protest that we have achieved a lot as Nigerian Labour Congress. I was there, the first one that we came to National Assembly. They denied us entering, and today there was no any other alternative than to allow us to come in. And we have handed over the letter to the Nigerian Senate, National Assembly, for onward transmission to Mr. President, that there is hunger in the land, and everybody must rise up to the occasion. We want Nigerians to feel at home. The dividend of democracy should be felt at the grassroots, not just in Abuja, but the 36th state of the Federation, including FCT. The presence of the government should be felt. So as NLC, we are calling on the federal government to rise up to the occasion that everything, the cost of living is very high, and Nigerians are dying. They are dying. Look at, workers are dying. Thank you.
If common man can avoid sugar, they can't avoid rice, they can't avoid whatsoever. There is hunger in the land. We need them. Whatsoever you buy in the morning before evening time. Time of state, there is no control of rice in food. So let them do something.
Even a blind man today, blind man can see. You know, a blind man cannot see, but he can see that the economy of the country is somehow disastrous.
The protesters further call on government to open food silos and enforce equitable distribution across the country to fix the 4 refineries as a matter of urgent national priority and put a stop to the dollarization of the Nigerian economy. They also demand the immediate deployment of affordable mass transportation, particularly buses powered by compressed natural gas, to ease the crisis of transportation for the poor Nigerians, among others.
We just want the government that has human face to ensure that many people are dying of hunger in Nigeria today. So look at how many people died in the buying of half a bag of rice in Lagos. 7 people died for custom office in Yaba there. So they should bring back this subsidy and cause the dollar to come down and let the economy work.
The nationwide NLC protest today is against the alleged government failure to implement the agreement between both parties of the 2nd October 2023 following the removal of fuel subsidy in the country by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The decision followed the conclusion of a 14-day ultimatum for the federal government to implement their demands presented on the October 3rd, 2023 against the widespread of hardship and hunger in the land. They have presented a 17-point demand to the National Assembly to present to the federal government as part of the demands to cushion the effects and the realities of this country. The reactions by citizens and the protesters are, if government must reverse the subsidy for the current situations to be reduced, then it must be taken into consideration. Edikan Michael reporting for Global TV. from the National Assembly.
Welcome to another episode on Taste and Texture. I am Fatimi Abba Umar. Today let's talk about yummy hash brown waffles. These hash brown waffles are similar to latex, but the waffle iron makes them a lot more crunchy and steams off the potato perfectly. Serve immediately with your favorite hash brown toppings. Ingredients needed for this preparation are cooking spray, yellow potato shredded, vegetable oil, garlic minced, salt, black pepper, smoked paprika, eggs lightly beaten. And now let's make it. Preheat the waffle iron according to manufacturer's instruction. Grease the waffle iron with cooking spray. Place potatoes in a medium bowl. Pour in enough cold water to cover potatoes. Soak for 2 to 3 minutes. Drain and rinse to remove starch. Squeeze water from potatoes by hand or roll in a clean kitchen towel and twist the towel to wring out water. Toss potatoes with oil, garlic, salt, pepper, and paprika in a large bowl until evenly coated. Stir eggs into potato mixture until well combined. Spoon half of potato mixture into a preheated waffle iron. Close and cook until potatoes are tender and golden brown, 5 to 8 minutes. Repeat the remaining potato mixture. Or the recipe is sized for a large Belgian waffle maker, but can be made with any type of waffle maker. I usually set up the waffle iron on the stove and then turn on the vent fan to capture the steam. And now to the health benefits. Hash brown are perfectly healthy, containing most of the vitamins and minerals found in potatoes. Vitamin B1, B3, B6, magnesium, phosphorus, riboflavin, and thiamine. The skin of potatoes also have high content of vitamin C and folate and potassium. That's all for now. See you same time next time for another interesting episode on Taste and Texture. I remain your host, Fatimi Abba Umar. Bye.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV AM News. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Uyi Agumofwewe. President Bola Tinubu has explained that the decision taken to remove subsidy on petrol was a challenging one, but necessary to ensure a transparent and accountable energy sector. The president, who spoke at the opening of the 2024 Nigeria International Energy Summit, NIES, in Abuja, acknowledged that the decision has led to hardship, particularly amongst low-income earners, ensuring eventually the economy will improve and the benefits will manifest. Represented by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, President Tinubu said energy security was a priority for his administration. He stated that the petroleum subsidy has, over the years, strained the country's economic resources, leading to inefficiencies and, most importantly, hindering the nation's ability to invest in critical areas of energy security. The Federal Executive Council has approved the adoption of the Oronsaye report aimed at the reduction of cost of governance for implementation. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed to these while briefing State House correspondents at the end of the FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Idris explained that with the adoption of the reports, it means that some agencies, commissions, and departments of government have been scrapped, some merged, others subsumed under some others, and those moved under new ministries where they are supposed to perform better. The Oronsaye report, by the way, is a very important plank in our conversation on Global Morning today. In the meantime, Vice President Kashif Shettima has launched the Light Up Nigeria Southeast Initiative in Enugu, describing it as the much-expected solution to the power supply deficit that has undermined the nation's economy and industrialization. He said the project, which is part of the priorities set by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to revamp the economy and ensure rapid industrialization, heralds renewed hope for industrialists, investors, and Nigerians who had to bear the brunt of the country's power challenges for so long. VP Shettima, during the project launch in Enugu, also commissioned the 181 megawatts geometric power plant in Aba, Abia State to accelerate power supply to industrial clusters in the region. The Senate has confirmed the appointment of Hafsat Abubakar Bakari as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, which was forwarded to it by President Bola Tinubu. The confirmation was sequel to the consideration of a report on the screening of the nominee presented by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, Senator Udende Menge Emmanuel, or APC, Benue Northeast. Recall that President Bola Tinubu wrote to the Senate last week seeking the screening and subsequent confirmation of Hafsat Bakari as Chief Executive Officer of the NFIU. The federal government has said it would extend its social security payments net to graduates with qualifications from NCE and above. Addressing journalists after the Federal Executive Council meeting, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed that the program would see unemployed Nigerian youths being paid stipends. Similarly, Edun stated that the federal government will urgently establish a consumer credit scheme to alleviate the pains of economic adjustment. He noted that the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, will lead a committee that includes Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Attorney General of the Federation, and himself, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy. Kaduna State government has confirmed 5 deaths following a Lassa fever outbreak in the state. The confirmation is in a report on the outbreak of the disease by the State Commissioner for Health, Umar Ahmed, in Kaduna. She stated that an initial 6 samples were collected to confirm the outbreak, followed by another 6 samples from contacts, which were sent to Bayero University, Kano for analysis with a 24 to 28-hour turnaround time for the results. According to the report, 99 contacts have so far been line listed and are being followed up, as 19 others also developed some form of symptoms and their samples were collected. The commissioner said the state government had so far taken some measures to combat the outbreak of the disease. Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Diri, has said that his administration is working towards cushioning the effects of prevailing economic hardship in the country on workers in the state. The governor stated this while addressing members of the state chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, led by its chairman, Barnabas Simon, on a nationwide protest against hunger and poverty at the government house in Yenagoa, the state capital. The governor assured that he would meet with the state's heads of civil service and the NLC chairman to discuss the modalities to reduce the working hours of civil servants in the state with a view to mitigating their plight. While commending the NLC for peacefully carrying out the protests, he equally applauded the security agencies for allowing the protest to hold as it was a national directive to all Nigerian workers. In the meantime, the Nigeria Labour Congress and other related unions have commenced their protest in Abuja over the high cost of living, inflation, insecurity, and hardship in the country. Unions taking part in the protest include the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, the FCT Council, the National Association of Nigeria Nurses and Midwives, and the Nigeria Union of Teachers, as well as Construction Workers Union, among others. The protest started from the Labour House headquarters in Abuja at exactly 9:36 a.m. Global Television will keep following the developments for you. We understand that the protest enters the second day today, and we'll keep tabs on that story here on Global Television. In the meantime, members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and others in the Federal Capital Territory have insisted that the two-day protest by members of the union and some Nigerians is aimed at drawing government's attention to the economic hardship in the country and not focused on the clamor for a review of the minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Our correspondent, Michael Ediko, who followed the protest, now presents his report.
The protesters who stormed the National Assembly complex in their separate reactions condemned President Tinubu's pronouncement of abolishing fuel subsidy regime, leading to increase in the price of fuel by more than 200%, combined with the policy of floating the naira, the free fall of the naira against the United States dollar, which has resulted in gross devaluation of the nation's currency. They say this has been the root of inflationary pressure in the country, adding that it has led to food crisis as costs of other essentials including transportation, healthcare, drugs, and building materials have more than tripled in less than 1 year.
The state of the nation, everybody can feel it. Everybody can feel it, and everyone can see it. Look at the situation we find ourselves now. If you go to the market, there's no segregation market for different individuals. You are for the government or you are against the government policy. We are going to the general market. But as it stands now, every one of us can feel it. A bag of rice is costing about 75,000 naira. Cement of bag that cost about 5,500. Just recently, about 3 weeks ago, it's now costing about 10,000 naira. And just yesterday, a carton of Indomie that children take to school is about 17,000 naira. And you can see it for yourself. The hike in price, the state of the nation, everyone is tense, you know. So basically, what NLC just came out to do is just to show to the authority that people are really not, enjoying the situation. They find themselves in the country now, and things is very high, on the high side.
We are protesting for hunger is too much. School fees, bandering, everything. Nigeria is scattered, Nigeria balance, no balance. And we need solidarity in Nigeria. Look at it.
This protest is a protest that we have achieved a lot as Nigerian Labour Congress. I was there, the first one that we came to National Assembly. They denied us entering, and today there was no any other alternative that allowed us to come in. And we have handed over the letter to the Nigerian Senate, National Assembly, for onward transmission to Mr. President, that there is hunger in the land, and everybody must rise up to the occasion. We want Nigerians to feel at home. The dividend of democracy should be felt at the grassroots, not just in Abuja, but the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT. The presence of the government should be felt. So as NLC, We are calling on the federal government to rise up to the occasion that everything, the cost of living is very high and Nigerians are dying. They are dying. Look at workers are dying. Thank you.
A common man can't avoid sugar. They can't avoid rice. They can't avoid whatsoever. But there is hunger in the land. We need them. Whatsoever you buy in the morning before evening time. The time of state, there is no control of price in food. So let them do something.
Even a blind man today, blind man can see. You know, a blind man cannot see, but he can see that the economy of the country is somehow disastrous.
The protesters further call on government to open food silos and enforce equitable distribution across the country to fix the 4 refineries as a matter of urgent national priority and put a stop to the dollarization of the Nigerian economy. They also demand the immediate deployment of affordable mass transportation, particularly buses powered by compressed natural gas, to ease the crisis of transportation for the poor Nigerians, among others.
We just want the government that has human face to ensure that many people are dying of hunger in Nigeria today. So look at how many people died in the buying of half a bag of rice in Lagos. 7 people died for custom office in Yaba there. So they should bring back this subsidy and cause the dollar to come down and let the economy work.
The nationwide...
Thousands of Nigerians have stormed the National Assembly complex in support of the reforms so far introduced by President Bola Tinubu to reposition the country. The protesters who converged at the Abuja Unity Fountain staged a peaceful walk to the National Assembly complex, calling on organized labor, NLC in particular, to call off their nationwide strike action. The protesters, who brandished various placards in support of the president, said calling on the organized labor to call off the strike action in the interest of the nation. They urged the NLC to engage in a constructive dialogue with the government instead of grounding economic activities, thereby exacerbating the issues and further making life hard for the common man. Business activities were paralyzed for some hours on Tuesday as the Nigeria Labour Congress and its affiliates staged a peaceful protest in Osogbo, Osun State capital, against the current economic hardship ravaging Nigeria. The protesters, led by the Osun NLC chairman Christopher Arakbashokpo, began their march from the Freedom Park in Osogbo and moved through MDS Road, chanting anti-President Tinubu songs. Some of the affiliates of the NLC that participated in the protests include the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria, and Nigeria Union of Journalists, among others. As the protesters moved towards Olaya Junction, where they eventually converged, vehicular movement was grounded along Osogbo Bongon Road. Erasmus Ekbang, the Cross River Commissioner for Information, says the proposed construction of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Superhighway will boost tourism and agriculture in the state. The commissioner, who spoke in an interview in Calabar, said that the Coastal Superhighway was long overdue. President Tinubu had on Monday at the Federal Executive Council meeting approved the construction of the coastal road. According to Ekbang, the road, when completed, will improve the economy of Cross River and other states within the corridor of the coastal road. The Kano Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has apprehended 11 suspects for engaging in currency racketeering in Kano State. The suspects were taken into custody following an intelligence-driven investigation that exposed a syndicate operating in proximity to the Central Bank of Nigeria branch along Lagos streets in Kano metropolis. The EFCC, in an official statement posted on its verified X handle, disclosed that the apprehended individuals were allegedly involved in the illicit sale of new Naira notes for commercial purposes. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has intercepted the largest heroin consignment at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos State. Chairman of the agency, Buba Marawa, disclosed these while briefing journalists in Lagos. The agency also arrested members of an organized criminal organization that specializes in trafficking heroin across Nigeria, South Africa, Mozambique, Europe, and America in an operation leading to the seizure of the consignment, which weighed more than 51 kilograms on February 12, 2024. The agency's boss said the consignment was concealed in 15 cartons of 2,300 watts metal cutting machines. He noted that there was a parallel between the seizure and the September 18, 2022 seizure of more than 2,000 kilograms contained in a warehouse in the Ikorodu area of the state, which he described as the biggest singular cocaine seizure in the history of the agency. According to him, 4 cartel members linked to the recent seizure were arrested in a follow-up operation conducted by the NDLEA operatives. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, says it has deployed a special intelligence team to monitor and stop illegal movement and hoarding of feed commodities in Katsina State. The NSCDC Commandant, Jamil Indabawa, disclosed this in Katsina. Indabawa disclosed this while receiving Jabiru Sari, chairman of the committee set up by the state government to monitor the prices and movement of grains in the state. Elia Sari, who is also the chief of staff to the governor, condemned the NSCDC on their efforts, or commended, I should say, the NSCDC on their efforts across the state. He revealed that the task force was established to monitor the prices of foodstuffs, addressing hoarding of grains, movement of feed commodities, and any act that would lead to a price hike. The Nigeria Customs Service has announced the suspension of the sale of feedstuff following a stampede that reportedly killed 7 persons at the NSCS Old Zonal Headquarters in the Yaba area of Lagos State. The Chief Superintendent of Customs and National Public Relations Officer for Controller General of Customs, Abdullahi Meidawa, in a statement disclosed the suspension of the exercise. The Nigeria Customs Service had said it was selling seized food items at 10,000 per 25 kilograms to alleviate the people's suffering as a result of the current high costs of living and other economic hardships. The Nigeria police have deployed anti-riot operatives in strategic locations ahead of its nationwide protest declared by the Nigeria Labour Congress over the economic crunch in the country. The Fox spokesman Olumuyiwa Adejobi explained that policemen have been placed on red alert. The presidency and the police authorities had warned the NLC against carrying out the protest, which was thumbed down by the Trade Union Congress, TUC, and 65 civil society groups. However, NLC President Joe Ajero disclosed that the demonstration would go on as planned, hinging his decision on the economic situation and hardship in the country. You're watching the AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kind of follow us on our social media platforms using at Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the AM News returns, the Central Bank of Nigeria raises interest rates to 22.75%. This and all the stories coming your way right after this short break. Do stay with us, everyone. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News coming to you from Nigeria. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe, and the rest of the news continues. Now, let's jump to the foreign scene, where 6 months after bringing the curtain down on the 55-year Bongo dynasty, Gabon's military leader remains popular despite criticism of authoritarian governance that is slow to fulfill promises. Many Gabonese rejoiced when Ali Bongo was overthrown in a bloodless coup on August 30. An hour after being proclaimed the winner of a presidential election, which the army and opposition declared fraudulent. Coup leader General Brice Oligui Nguema, 48, was swiftly sworn in as transitional president of the oil-rich Central African nation, promising a return of civilian rule with elections. Polls have since been set for August 2025 under a timetable that first foresees national dialogue scheduled for April this year that will be made up of all the country's vital actors. Away from Africa, French President Emmanuel Macron has said it is key for Europe's security to defeat Russia and Ukraine amid urgent pleas for more weapons from Kiev. He was speaking in Paris, where he said European leaders had agreed to set up a coalition to give Ukraine medium and long-range missiles and bombs. He added that there was no consensus on sending Western troops to Ukraine, but nothing could be excluded, he said. Russian troops made recent gains in Ukraine, which faces big arms shortages. Kiev is critically dependent on modern armory supplies from its Western allies, particularly the United States, to be able to continue fighting Russia, a much bigger military force with an abundance of artillery ammunition. U.S. President Joe Biden says he hopes to have a ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. His comments came amid reports of some progress in indirect negotiations involving Israel and Hamas officials. It will involve aid deliveries to Gaza and the release of more hostages taken during the 7 October Hamas attacks. Israel has not commented, and Hamas officials have indicated the two sides are not as close to a ceasefire deal as President Biden suggested. Now time to talk some business. The Senate Committee on National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has commended the agency for championing local content development of solar-powered smart irrigation, tricycles, and electric motorbikes and others with accelerated technology transfer. Chairman, Senate Committee on NASENI, Francis Oyewuchi, who led other members of the Committee on Oversight visits to the agency's headquarters in Abuja, expressed satisfaction while being conducted by the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the agency, Khalil Alilu. Other products inspected include animal feed processing machines and NASENI transformers, electric motorcycles and tricycles, as well as the NASENI home and irrigation solar systems. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has said over $300 million to deposit money banks, DMBs, in the last 2 weeks amid desperate efforts to stabilize the Naira to dollar exchange rate. The Association of Corporate Treasurers of Nigeria made the disclosure in an advisory memo made available to its members. In the meantime, the Naira appreciated against the dollar to 1,582 Naira at the close of trade activities at the official market on Monday. According to data obtained from FMDQ, the increase was 12 or 0.5 Naira percent from 1,594 recorded at the NAFEM. At the black market, the Naira slipped slightly to between 1,555 Naira and 1,560 Naira to the dollar following market sentiment. In the meantime, the Apex Bank has declared that it is selling foreign exchange valued at $20,000 to all qualifying bureau de change operators nationwide. This initiative is a component of larger attempts by the Apex Bank to stabilize the Naira's exchange rates and reduce the forces that fuel the black market. This was made public by the top bank in a fresh circular that was signed by Hassan Mahmoud, the Director of Trade and Exchange Department. He said the allocation will be sold at a rate of 1,301 Naira to the dollar, reflecting the lower band rates of executed spot transactions at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, NAFEM, as part of the previous trading day, dated February 27, 2024. The Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the monetary policy rate MPR by 400 basis points to a record 22.75%. The announcement was made by CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso, who presided over the Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the first time since taking office in September of 2023. Recall that last year, Nigeria's MPC implemented a strategy of gradually increasing the MPR over 4 consecutive meetings. This culminated in a significant rate of 18.75% by the end of the year. Other important indices, such as cash reserves ratio, CRR, and liquidity ratio stayed constant throughout the time, despite these aggressive efforts, with the CRR remaining at 32.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. Communities in Adamawa, Jos, Taraba, and Gombe states will experience 4-hour power outages by February 27th. The Transmission Company of Nigeria disclosed this in a statement signed by its Public Affairs General Manager, Ndidi Mba. According to Mba, the outages would occur because the TCN maintenance crew would test and inaugurate the new red-face current transformer at Gombe Transmission Substation from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. As a result, Mba noted that the Jos and Yola electricity distribution companies will be able to supply electricity to their customers within the Gombe, Biu, Potiskum, Yola, Savannah, Jalingo, Mayo, Belwa, and Damaturu towns within 4 hours. And that's how we call it a wrap here on the Global AM News. I'm Uyag Mofwebe. Thank you so very much for watching. A Global Morning now continues. So thank you again for staying with us.
Hello and welcome to another episode on Taste and Texture. I'm Fatimi Abba Umar. Today let's talk about yummy hash brown waffles. These hash brown waffles are similar to latex, but the waffle iron makes them a lot more crunchy and steams off the potato perfectly. Serve immediately with your favorite hash brown toppings. Ingredients needed for this preparation are cooking spray, yellow potato shredded, vegetable oil, garlic minced, salt, black pepper, smoked paprika, eggs lightly beaten. And now let's make it. Preheat the waffle iron according to manufacturer's instruction. Grease the waffle iron with cooking spray. Place potatoes in a medium bowl. Pour in enough cold water to cover potatoes. Soak for 2 to 3 minutes. Drain and rinse to remove starch. Squeeze water from potatoes by hand or roll in a clean kitchen towel and twist the towel to wring out water. Toss potatoes with oil, garlic, salt, pepper, and paprika in a large bowl until evenly coated. Stir eggs into potato mixture until well combined. Spoon half of the potato mixture into a preheated waffle iron. Close and cook until potatoes are tender and golden brown, 5 to 8 minutes. Repeat the remaining potato mixture. Or the recipe is sized for a large Belgian waffle maker, but can be made with any type of waffle maker. I usually set up the waffle iron on the stove and then turn on the vent fan to capture the steam. And now to the health benefits. Hash brown are perfectly healthy, containing most of the vitamins and minerals found in potatoes. Vitamin B1, B3, B6, magnesium, phosphorus, riboflavin, and thiamine. The skin of potatoes also have high content of vitamin C and folate and potassium. That's all for now. See you same time next time for another interesting episode on Taste and Texture. I remain your host, Fatimi Abba Umar. Bye.
Hello sports fans, welcome to Sports News Update. Nigeria Super Falcons have secured the spot in the final round of qualifiers for the women's football event at the 2024 Olympics by defeating Cameroon 1-0 on aggregate in the third round of the qualifiers for the Games. The Falcons played a goalless draw at Douala on Friday, but managed to score a crucial goal against the Cameroonians at the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, on Monday. An early goal from Esther Okoronkwo proved to be the deciding factor in a closely contested match. The Cameroonians pushed forward, creating opportunities to tie the game and win it on the road, but Nigeria's Chiamaka Nnadozie made some crucial stops. Super Falcons are set to take on South Africa in the final round of qualifiers. Just 2 teams from Africa will participate in the 2024 Olympics. 3 goals in 3 minutes from Idem Ekerete and Alex Oyowa and Farouk Mohammed ensured Nigeria's lone representatives on the continent, Rivers United, stayed alive in the CAF Confederation Cup as they ran out with a 3-2 win over Academica Lobito in Angola. Rivers United were down by a goal in the 37th minute, no thanks to a penalty from Leonardo Isola before Ekerete leveled matters 3 minutes later. The Pride of Rivers got their own penalty in the 44th minute, and Oyowa made no mistake to give them a 2-1 lead into the break. Mohammed added the third for Rivers 3 minutes after the restart, and that was enough cushion to prevent a late rally from the host, who pulled one back in the 67th minute through Fernando Kamuge. Rivers United will now have to beat Dreams FC of Ghana at home in their last group game to stand any chance of reaching the knockout stages. Mason Greenwood reportedly wants Spanish football bosses to drop an investigation after Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham allegedly aimed at a slaw at the forward during a match. The clash between Bellingham and Greenwood was reported by the La Liga to the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Bellingham had landed a crushing tackle on the Getafe player to force the ball out of play, and when footage of the incident circulated on social media, fans believed they noticed the England international mutter the word rapist at the forward. Greenwood had previously been charged with attempted rape, assault, and coercive behavior in January 2022, but charges were dropped on February 2023 by the Crown Prosecution Service following the withdrawal of key witnesses. Bayern Munich have appointed Max Abel as their effective sporting director on the contract until June 2027. Abel will work on Friday and joins at a time where the club is needing to replace outgoing manager Thomas Tuchel this summer. The former RB Leipzig man will assume the title of board member for sport and will help compromise a trimmed-down leadership team of 3 members. He was officially unveiled on Wednesday at the Allianz Arena and posed with other senior figures at the club. It could be seen as a blow to Liverpool, who reportedly approached him in October to succeed Jörg Schmacher, though reports of their interests have died down. And that's how we call it a wrap on the sports news update. I am Anthony Momodu.
welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from
was more like, for many people, the biggest shock yet, with regards particularly to the Bola Tinubu government, especially when you look at it from the standpoint of the Renewed Hope agenda. Of course, the Aronsaya report has been almost 1 decade, coming since 2014. And there are people who have said, look, one of the things we must do, they've listed several things Nigeria must do, must find the courage to pursue if as a country we must move forward. They've talked about the need for us to come up with an entirely new constitution, not amending, or some people say patching the existing one, which is the 1999 constitution as amended. Others have said, well, we must also find the courage to go back to the CONFA reports of 2014, dust it up, and find a way to implement the recommendations there. Others say, well, in addition to that, which is in this case the third issue, is that the Aronsaya reports must be reviewed, and president after president must find a way, starting from President Jonathan himself in particular, all right, to take a closer look at these recommendations and find some political guts to implement the recommendations. But that never happened, even after former President Jonathan left office. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, the immediate past president, came into office for another 8 years, and none of these two gentlemen moved a pin as far as this report is concerned. But just 2 days ago, news came through that President Bola Tinubu has now directed a full implementation of the Aronsaya report. And that raises questions as to what exactly are the salient ingredients in this report. What are the issues that this report looked at? What are the recommendations contained therein? And lastly, the question of how will this implementation help make Nigeria a better place? I'm joined by an APC chieftain, a businessman, and someone who believes so staunchly in what the Tinubu government represents. Chief Chebuna, it's always a delight to have you on the program. Even though I know you're the mouthpiece of your political party here, but I know you also want to talk as a Nigerian who is in Nigeria and experiences whatever it is that's going on in the country right now. The Aronsaya reports was something that I believe, it's very obvious that most Nigerians had even forgotten about, and people were basically not talking about it again. It looks like some people will say this is a move in the right direction. This is something long overdue. But there are people who are also now saying, well, maybe this is just President Tinubu trying to be politically correct.
Thank you very much. You know, one thing is that successive administrations, they know the problem of Nigeria. They know what to do.
Right.
But they fail to do them because they lack the political will and zeal to carry out what is appropriate and expedient, what to move Nigeria forward. Now we have a president who is a pan-Nigerian, who understands the problem of Nigeria, and who has seen that these problems have lingered over the years and need to be solved. He has the political will and he wants to solve the problem of Nigeria. Yes, there are pains that will be associated with it, but he's taking them one after the other. Look at the Aronsaya report. Former President Jonathan set up the committee. The committee finished their work, submitted the report. He had time to, implement it. He couldn't. The successive, his successor, the immediate past administration came, set up a white paper committee to look at the report and review it and know what the government take from the ones government will do and the ones government will not do. After that, nothing happened. But the government of President Bola Tinubu came on board because he has already x-rayed the problems of Nigeria. And we have been shouting, cutting the cost of governance. He knows where and where to touch to cut the cost of governance. Now he has ordered that the report should be implemented to the letter. We should give him kudos. We should support him. We should applaud him. What others lack the will to do, he is doing it for the betterment of Nigeria. Nigerians should thank him. They should be very, very grateful that there is a man that has the balls to do what others have failed to do for the betterment and progress of Nigeria.
Okay, this is going to get a bit more complicated because right from the onset, we saw that there are some very brutal recommendations in the report. For example, merger of agencies, merger of ministries, and so on and so forth. There's no magic wand for implementation as far as this report is concerned, is there?
If you have gone through the white paper, there are recommendations, because the report basically was recommendations to government.
Right.
Why government set up the white paper review committee is to pick the ones that are expedient and appropriate. Those that should be, the ministries, the agencies that should be scrapped, those that should be merged, who have overlapping functions, those that should be subsumed in the ministry. And government have picked the ones that are over 100, it's about 261 agencies or thereabout. The government have reduced them to about 161 or thereabout. And there are others. There are ones that will be merged. There are ones that should be scrapped, about 30-something or thereabout. And there are ones that should be subsumed in the ministry. The implementation wouldn't be a problem because basically if you watch how they are, they have overlapping functions. The same different agencies doing the same thing. So bringing them together to synergize and do what they're supposed to do to reduce waste will not be difficult.
Nigeria has not had a very pleasant reputation for synergizing, to use a word, because we still see interagency rivalry up until this point, even when we have not started talking about merger of ministries and agencies and departments and so on and so forth. This is very important and quite technical because these agencies have their own directors, have their own legislative structure, have their own bureaucracies and so on and so forth. So that's going to pose a whole lot of challenge because an analyst was talking on television a few nights ago and he said one of the things that must happen is, like you mentioned, the President Tinubu government has found the political will to do the right thing at this very crucial time. But then must also realize that that will has to be extended to the point where the government knows for a fact that some people must be sent home by way of payoff. Otherwise, this merger, or what they will call merger and acquisition in the case of banks, for example, it's not going to see a light of day. But let's look at timeline, because you have said there are some of these agencies, these entities that must be merged, I mean, very expediently. Let's see how that will work, because we understand that red tape and bureaucracies are all associated with the civil service.
Now, let me tell you something. Unless government does not want to implement a policy, only they do not want to carry out a program. If government wants to implement a policy, they go all out to do it. Whether, yes, feathers will be ruffled, but the policy will be implemented for the good of Nigeria. So let us leave it out whether the directors, because now, let me, like you said, interagency rivalry. An agency that is doing the same thing like agency A, B, doing something like agency A, there should be rivalry. But when you bring them together, you are doing the same thing I'm doing. So government knows how to streamline the operations as they are together to get the best results. Because of nomenclature, I am a director here, I am a DG, Director General here, I am the Executive Secretary here, I don't know whether you get me, the same agency. Bringing them together, like in some of the agencies and commissions, government said they should go back to the ministry, in the report, should go back to the ministry and become a department. I don't know whether you get me.
So those agencies will become departments?
Some of them, yes, that will be subsumed in the ministry, will become departments in the ministry.
Which were hitherto
agencies or commissions. I don't know, but it is just nomenclature for me to be the DG so that person will be making so much money and things like that, frittering away the resources of Nigeria that should have been used, plow back into something more meaningful for the economic development. So government knows what to do, and they've given a timeline. Within I think 12 weeks or about 3 or 4 months, everything will be done and streamlined, and you will see results.
Nigerians are hungry at this point in time. Even the APC has talked about how there's hunger in the land.
All of us.
Yes, and now we're talking about the Oronsaye report. Does that not sound too academic for a hungry man?
No, it doesn't. Because those are the things that contributed to the hunger. So if you want to solve the problem of hunger, you start from, where the problem began.
The Nigerians were not so hungry at that time, were they? A decade ago.
They were not so hungry because they were eating their future. Now we have gotten to where we supposed to have a future. There is no future. So how do we solve the problem? So we start from the beginning. To remove those bottlenecks, those man-made bottlenecks created, those impediments, we should dismantle them so that there will be food, enough food. By this program alone of restructuring the agencies and merging them, scrapping some, government will save over 800 billion. That money will be plowed back into the economy. Will be invested in economic stimulating programs that will benefit Nigerians, not individuals.
But that's the same story Nigerians were told, that whatever savings we made from the removal of fuel subsidy will be plowed back into meaningful forward-thinking initiatives. But this is 9 months exactly by tomorrow, and we haven't really moved away from where we had been 9 months earlier, have we? The
last time I was there, on 2 other periods I was here, I asked you, look at the revenue that our governors and local governments are receiving monthly prior to post subsidy removal. What are they doing with it? Government is saving money. The states are receiving more allocations, more funds. What are they doing with it? Local governments are receiving funds, more funds, allocations. Those are the things. If the states should, apply their funds judiciously, for the economic development of their states, there wouldn't be hunger, there wouldn't be problem. If local governments should apply this funds they are receiving judiciously to the development of the local government, there shouldn't be hunger, there shouldn't be complaint anywhere. But they get these funds, where do we see? We don't see anything, we don't see any project. Only few states you will see that are doing something. It is not the federal government. Government is receiving money, and that money comes into the federation account, and it is shared. I don't know whether you understand. So let us focus on our state governors. Let us shift more focus on our local government chairmen. What are they doing with these humongous amounts they are receiving monthly? The hunger is from the rural areas, not in the urban areas. I don't know whether you get me.
So people in Abuja, for example, are not hungry?
No. I'm going somewhere. The hunger is more in because the states make up Nigeria. Local governments make up the states make up Nigeria. So if each state is doing what he's supposed to do, nobody will complain. We stay in Abuja and live in Abuja here. Abuja is made up of 6 local area councils. Is that not so? Right. If the local governments are applying their funds judiciously, will people complain? No.
Labour started its 2-day warning strike yesterday, and it enters a second, hopefully final day today. In the midst of all of these, who is listening to the conversation around the Oronsanye report right now?
Labour, they said they have suspended the demonstration today. They will now go on, press mobilization or whatever, conferences and whatever. That is their business. Whether let me just, before I answer your question, you see, like I told you the last time, most of these demonstrations by Labour are partisan and selfish. They are self-serving. They are not serving Nigerians. The crowd you see are mobilized to come out and demonstrate. Somebody somewhere is playing that drum. Like in this last exercise, it was very open that made TUC to pull out. If the demonstration was in the interest of Nigeria and the interest of the masses, the whole labor centers will come together and go on the demonstration. So whether some of them, they are listening to the Oronsanye, but they know what is right. The next president knows what is right, but because he wants to satisfy his paymaster, that is why he's doing what he's doing. The implementation of Oronsanye report will eliminate overlapping functions. It will eliminate duplications. It will engender productivity. It will engender the plowing back of our human and material resources, putting them to optimum use for greater productivity and for the development of Nigeria. Nobody who is sane in Nigeria that will not applaud this policy of federal decision of the federal government led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
That's the challenge. I know we're not here to talk about the NLC protest and all of the issues regarding labor, FG relations and so on and so forth. But how is it that when the same labor would protest when the APC had not taken over power, it was fine. They were doing it in the interest of Nigeria. Now they do it when the APC is in power. It is the paymasters who are drumming beating the drums for them?
When you look at the trajectory of the protests, like I said in the last time I was here, I said most of those demonstrations and strikes or whatever are partisan in nature. They are partisan, as far as I'm concerned. It is not geared towards the betterment of the...
Has it always been like that with Labour since 1999, that every time they protested it was partisan?
It has been. To me, it has been. Because now you want me to enjoy better life, and you are subjecting me to suffering. Nigeria live on daily income. You will stop me from going out to eke out a living, make what I would use in taking care of my family and dependents, and then you say you are protecting for my interest. How do you marry the two? It doesn't work.
When Jonathan was president, we had Ministry of Works and Housing as a single entity. And then President Buhari comes in, he unbundles, so you have, he merges. Again, he adds power to Works and Housing, gives it to Fashola. And then he gets to a point where, second term, Fashola is left with just Works and Housing. Then President Tinubu comes into office, he unbundles. So you have Works, Housing, Power as separate entities. With regards to the Ronsaya reports and the implementation we are looking forward to, how much of work do we need to do to ensure that another president doesn't come tomorrow, looks at it and says, no way, we have to change this. We have to reverse whatever the previous government has done. Can we just stop the back and forth? Is that possible?
Some of the agencies were created by the act of the parliament, the act of the National Assembly. So a bill will be presented to the National Assembly to amend the act, the law setting them up. I don't know what I get.
Very well.
So it will not be a case of somebody will come tomorrow and begin to let us, if you want to reverse, you go to National Assembly again, which I don't find no sane person will come tomorrow.
Because it's rigorous.
Thank you very much. We want to do that. We are moving forward. We don't want to go backward. Then unbundling the ministries is for optimum performance. We could recall, like you said, when it was Ministry of Works, Housing and Power, the minister couldn't give out his best, because nobody is a superhuman. Now you unbundle them for each one to do work according, to deliver on his mandate. We will have more results, more positive results when they work, because they don't have overlapping functions. Works is different, housing is different, power is different. So let them work independently. And in this, agency rationalization by the Ronsaya report, the agencies under these ministries that have overlapping functions, some will be subsumed in the ministry. Some will be merged with others to deliver on their mandates.
Is it possible that we can extend this same political will, like you called it a while ago, behind calling for the full implementation of the Ronsaya report to the Confab report from 2014? Or are those issues the elephant in the room?
Well, I am not the spokesman of the government.
Right.
Regarding the Confab report, well, if government deems it expedient that something should be done about it, they will do something about it.
There's the issue of resource control, which is very vital in the Confab reports. It's strongly recommended.
Yeah.
But then some people, particularly in the APC, say, well, the PIA has addressed the issue of resource control. But resource control is not just about Niger Delta alone. Yeah. It's not just about oil and gas alone. Yeah. It's also about several other resources that this country has been blessed with by God himself.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we also ensure that we continue to find willpower to implement some of these things? For example, there has been the issue of restructuring. Again, that you would agree is the elephant in the room, even for the APC right now. What does restructuring mean for the APC? Because I don't have a handle on all of the elements contained in the Renewed Hope agenda. You are an insider of the APC. Does the APC even have conversations around restructuring at all?
We have talked about this thing about restructuring. Restructuring, that word means different things to different people.
What does it mean for the APC as a whole?
I am coming.
Yes.
Are we talking about political restructuring, or are we talking about economic restructuring?
But they go hand in hand, don't they? They are like Siamese.
No, they do not go hand in hand. Economic restructuring entails that more economic powers should be devolved
to the regions,
to the states, and local governments. Political restructuring entails that more political power should be devolved to the states, to the regions, to the local government. But some people want a wholesale a kind of a balkanization of Nigeria. Let this region be on its own secession. Let this other region be. Then you pay a tax to the center. I don't buy that idea. God that made Nigeria, brought us together, did not make a mistake. I gave an instance the other time that the United States of America, what makes them thick and big is their size.
And diversity.
The same thing is applicable in Nigeria. Let us use our diversity and size to develop Nigeria. God created Nigeria with contingency margin. I did say this in the other time. With one eye, somebody can see. But God gave us two for optimum sight. With one leg, one can walk. But God gave two for optimum mobility. With one hand, one can do something. But God gave us two so that we can perform better. With one kidney, one can survive. But God gave two. Why? Contingency, making provision for two when one can do. So God brought us together, Nigerians, to supply each other's deficiencies for optimum performance and development as a country. Let us use our diversity as a selling point for our unity to develop Nigeria for the good of all. Secession will not do anybody good. It will not. The countries that have seceded, how have they fared? Look at South Sudan that seceded from Sudan. Have they fared better? They have not. They have the same religious affinity. They have the same language and cultural affinity. Still, they are fighting every day. In our villages and towns, we fight, we quarrel. We have the same cultural, religious, whatever, language affinity, and we quarrel. So what makes us feel that when we secede and everybody reach region be on your own, you will fare better? Let us use our diversity as a selling point for our unity. Let us develop Nigeria together. Let everybody, properly harness his endowment for the development of Nigeria.
You talked about savings a while ago, that when we are able to implement ultimately the Oronsai reports, Nigeria will save a lot of money. 800 billion was the figure that we've been hearing, and so on and so forth. But even though we know those numbers can be questionable depending on who is analyzing and what the standpoints are, how do we also ensure that these monies, beyond just further distributing them to the states and we're saying, okay, go and meet your governor, go and meet your governor, what are some of the practical ways, not political correctness, that we can pursue, that we can follow to be able to monitor and follow these monies in such a way that we ensure they are judiciously used?
The government have put in place checks and balances to monitor expenditure, monitor income. And government is saving money too. So it is left for government to know areas that are of urgent need, that these monies will be plowed or invested in, that will bring immediate results, because there is immediate short and long-term results. Which one will give us immediate results? Is it immediate result we are looking for, or are we looking for short-term results or long-term results? So it behoves government to decide in their wisdom on what they should do in the immediate, in the short term and long term, for the betterment of Nigeria. But I believe government is going to do his best for the betterment of Nigeria.
It doesn't look like the implementation of these reports, the Oronsai reports, as we've been talking about, is immediate, because it will appear this is also, on some level, a knee-jerk approach by the government to say, okay, what are some things we can do real quick for Nigerians, for us to alleviate or ameliorate the hardship that Nigerians are experiencing? So the government quickly rushes to pick up the Oronsai report and says, let's see how we can implement this. Is that short term?
No,
that's not.
It is in the immediate. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, how is that?
Let me tell you something, because as the order has been given, yes, work is going on now. Work is already going on.
Are we going to see payoff in the next few weeks?
Well, I cannot say for sure, but work is going on. Watch and see what will happen in the coming days and weeks. Because for government to come up, before they came up with implement it, they have done their homework. They've done what needed to be done. Government is not sleeping. Mr. President is not sleeping. Those around him that works with him are not sleeping. What we are passing through is giving them sleepless nights. They themselves are feeling it. Because if you are a wealthy man in the midst of poor people, you are a poor person. The poor people will rise up one day against you. You cannot go out. I don't know where they get me. From our villages and towns where we are, God blessed us. We know people we are assisting, carrying along, whatever. If it is only you that is shouldering the responsibility, you are poor. You cannot sleep. So Mr. President is not sleeping. Those in his government are not sleeping. They all are working, 247 to ensure that this logjam, socio-economic logjam we have been in for over the years, is taken care of and the impediments dismantled for us to enjoy a better Nigeria.
When some critical aspects of CBN and FAN operations were announced to be moved to Lagos for optimal efficiency. Some people came out even on national television to speak up against it. Now we say we want to implement Oronshaya reports. Are we also going to, are we back to the Lagos boys narrative? I'm sure you know what I mean.
That time I did tell you that it was intellectual dishonesty and intellectual laziness, laced with ethnocentric ideas that brought about that. The government has agencies that works, and they know where the agencies will be to give out its best. And government in their wisdom says, go here, this is where the bulk of your work is.
Right.
You go there, so you do your work. Because those are things that you are contributing to, high cost of governance. You are in Abuja, your work is in Lagos, you fly every day or every week to Lagos, you fly, you'll be ported in a big hotel, government is paying the bill, it's not coming from you. Then when you finish, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, you come back, consider the amount. Government say, no, we can't continue like that. We have an office in Lagos that is bigger than what we have here. And the bulk of the work we are doing is that place. Go there and do your work. People raise issues, deceiving people, carrying out propaganda. I call it a confederacy of evil conspiracy against government.
But some of those people are members of your party?
Yes. That's why I tell you that being a member of my party does not denude one of that inherent deceit. You cannot change an adult overnight now. You can't change an adult overnight. That you're a member of my party, it's like when we are in school, say, you pass through school and allow the school to pass through you. Some are in our party, they don't want to pass through the party and they pass through them. I don't know whether you get me. They still maintain that they are stoic, satanic behavior. But let's see what happens. Government stood this ground and took the. Are we not seeing did anybody complain again? Now, again, this Oronshaya report, it is long overdue, its implementation. And government has taken the bull by the horn by saying, go ahead and implement it. We are implementing it now. And they have set machinery in motion, that work is going on. It will be implemented. If anybody wants to cry, no problem. There is nowhere you carry out reforms that some people will not be affected. All over the world, some people will be affected. But it is for the good of the generality of Nigerians. What matters is the interest of the generality of Nigerians. The economy of Nigeria, the socio-economic health of Nigeria, the development and progress of Nigeria. That is what matters.
I hope we continue to, of course, it's a certain thing that we'll continue to monitor the progress as implementation is done. One of the senior aides to the president was talking about how that modalities will be put in place to ensure not only that implementation kickstarts, but that monitoring and all of the KPIs are set and so on and so forth. Chief Chairman, I will say a big thank you to you for honoring us with your time this morning on the show.
Thank you so much.
We're taking a quick break. When we return, we'll take a look at the hardship, the economic hardship that is in Nigeria right now, and how agriculture can, who knows, become a panacea for it. My guest will help us find sense in the noise. I will back shortly. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. I just spoke with an APC chieftain a while ago about the Oronsaye reports and what the challenge of implementation will be, even in the face of the challenges the country is grappling with. We're sure that Nigerians, for the most part, will have an eye out to see how governments will roll out modalities to drive the full implementation of this report that President Bola Tinubu has ordered. We hope to see cooperation with the civil service. We hope to see cooperation with the ministers and all of their aides, and then see how these ministries, departments, and agencies of government will collaborate and ensure that they put the best interests of Nigeria and Nigerians first. We'll take a quick break now so we can bring you a newspaper review. Time to take a look at the papers. We'll begin with Daily Trust for you this morning in the program. Three headlines just beneath the nameplate. All right, the first one here reads, CBN resumes sale of dollars to BDCs, raises interest rates to 22.75%. Recall that the MPR, that is the monetary policy rate, had stood at 18.27% until yesterday, when the MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN, met, and then the decision was taken to review upwards. And now we understand that review saw a 400 basis points increase, and that has consequently left the MPR, the monetary policy rates, at 22.75%. All right. Another headline here says mixed reactions trail Tinubu's approval of Oronsaye reports. Meningitis kills 20 students in Yobe. We understand the health authorities are already responding to this emergency. Star story on the front page of Daily Trust reads, cost of living crisis, NLC suspends protests. A counter rally in Abuja, police halts demonstration in Maiduguri, Lagos CP gives water, biscuits, to protesters. Army court martials 1 officer, 16 soldiers over gun running in Jos. 5 killed, 26 rescued in Onitsha collapsed building. Such a sad story. Police arrest wanted kidnap kingpin in Nasarawa. All right, that's so much from the Daily Trust for you today. But then we have The Guardian as well. Okay, front page of The Guardian newspaper, it reads, MPC decision concerns for OPS as CBN moves against inflation, Naira speculators. That's star stories on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. Senate begins probe of Buhari government's 30 trillion Naira loan Ajaokuta Steel. Details await you on page 3 if you pick up a copy of the paper today. Gunmen kill village head, policemen, others in Nasarawa. NLC suspends protest, gives FG 2-week ultimatum to address hardship others. Hardship, Makinde joins as workers protest in Oyo, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti. Mixed reactions trail Tinubu's implementation of Oronsaye's reports. Why is the announcement of full implementation of that report seeing mixed reactions? Well, you will find out if you read it up on page 5 of today's issue of The Guardian newspaper. 5 died, 26 rescued in Onitsha markets, building collapse. That sad story is replicated across the newspapers this morning. Blackout, residents, businesses in dire straits over high tariffs on electricity generator use. All right, that's all the headlines from today's Guardian, but we'll have 2 more papers to go. The penultimate one is the Punch newspaper, and then we start with stories above the name plates. This headline here has got a picture of CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso. It reads, interest rate hike, private sector economists foresee fresh job losses, recession. And then the headline features a rider that says CBN clears $400 million debt, plans tough sanction for banks to tackle excess money supply. A 50th anniversary photo exhibition opens today. Soyinka delivers lecture Thursday. That's talking about the Punch newspaper 50th anniversary. Presidency alleges political agenda as protests hit states. 2 riders here for you. The first one says, no unanimity in protests. Some people leveraging current situation for political gains, says presidential aide. Police share biscuits, water at Lagos protests. NLC urges Tinubu to end extreme hardship, feed crisis. Let's take it to the bottom of the front page of the Punch. FG completes $700 million gas pipeline in March after 8 years. 3 bodies recovered, 11 rescued as Lagos boat capsizes. Senate to probe Ajaokuta Steel over $496 million payments. Who was that payment made to? For what purpose? Well, you can read it up on, let's see that for you, page 21, if you are with today's Punch newspaper. All right, our last paper is the Vanguard this morning. Okay, on the front page of the Vanguard here, we see a picture of the now, on the front page of the Vanguard, we see a picture of the now candidates, governorship candidate of the PDP in the election, governorship election in Edo State that is scheduled by INEC for 21st of September, Dr. Aswe Ighodalo there. Suspicious, that's above the nameplate now, suspicious $26 billion passed through Binance Nigeria in 1 year. That's according to CBN Governor Cardoso. Edo Guba Ighodalo begs Shaibu others for support, promises inclusive government. As PDP hands him certificates of return, more crisis in LP as Imasu Agbon claims victory. Abga is party to beat Osifo. CBN jacks up benchmark interest rates to 22.75%, begins weekly sale of $15.7 million to 785 BDCs. Lagos shorts third mainland bridge for 24 hours. Tinubu explains petrol subsidy removal decision. All right, the big story says NLC gives 17 points demand to Tinubu, suspends protests. Makinde joins protest in Oyo, says there is anger in the land, protest needless. That's according to presidency, says legitimate concerns being addressed. What's more now, then you go down to the foot of the front page, says columnists, Nania, Usman, Sarki, then you have Fason, you have Oko and Diabumi. So these are all the items that you find if you pick up a copy of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. Incidentally, that's a wrap on the papers for you, and it brings the show to an end this morning. But remember, we continue to follow the conversations here on topical issues on global television, and the views of our guests are their opinions, and Global TV has no position on these conversations that we have across all of our programs. I'm Muyi Agumofwebe, thanking you, so especially on behalf of all my colleagues here at Global TV for watching. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not the slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report.
I have not seen the report.